As you said, Mr. Moorman, the primary objective is to make sure safety for our passengers. I just want to understand about this infrastructure renewal program, how it's going to make us safer, and how we're going to try to avoid these potential derailments. So if you could go a little bit deeper on that and explain what what the goal is with respect to the track track improvements.
Certainly. Certainly. Let me step back for just a second because I think this context is important. You know, we have an infrastructure down there, first of all, as I said, that is as difficult a place to do anything from a maintenance standpoint as you can imagine. There was significant work done down there probably in the 70s and 80s. As Amtrak funding, and this is prior to all of the funding coming from the states, as Amtrak funding was cut over the past, in the 90s and the 2000s, there wasn't a lot of work done down there. Amtrak funding became better about 7 or 8 years ago. And Amtrak generated a program to start to renew this infrastructure, which was, you know, at the point of getting closer to the end of its useful life. And they generated a program called Zero Defects. The idea being they analyze all of the station and they would start a renewal process, and that renewal process would be done largely on the weekends. And this was because of the issues that we're talking about today. There was a great, you know, emphasis on trying not to disrupt the weekday commuter, and rightfully so. What has happened over the last 4 or 5 years is that a substantial amount of that work was done, but because that work competes, as I said earlier, for not only Amtrak people, but time. The most valuable commodity in Penn Station is time to get out there and do something. And because it competes for Amtrak forces to do work, but more importantly for outage time, as East Side access has become important, and it is important, as the East River Tunnel issues have become much more pronounced post-Sandy, and as Moynihan Station has really taken off, and it's critically important, all of these have been in competition for that time and those forces, and as a result, the renewal program has not moved ahead as well as it might, to the point now where we have some infrastructure down there where we need to go ahead and replace it because, as I said, it's at the point of where the likelihood of some kind of disruption is increasing. And what we're going to do by doing these renewal programs and getting them out of the way is for these critical parts of the station absolutely minimize any chance of disruption because of an incident with that infrastructure. Now, I will say this, right? This is not the cure-all for Penn Station. There are a lot of reasons we have delays down there. We have, you know, there's old signal systems, there's old this, there are equipment issues that all three of the carriers encounter. And the other thing, as I said, a 15-minute problem with one train in rush hour has big ripple effects. But by doing this work in the most complex, critical part of the station, will eliminate the possibility of track-caused disruptions for a good long time to come. Is that?
All right. Now, with respect to this renewal program, where are you with high-tech advances or the use of technology? And then also with these improvements, are we improving for a short term, or what's going to happen 5-10 years from now?
We're improving for the long term. The life of these assets is fairly substantial, so it'll be good for a good long while, and it'll allow us to go do other things, including focusing more on East Side access and things like that. In terms of technology, all I can tell you is that this is railroad track, and it's very complex railroad track. It's custom built. Every piece has to be specially ordered. There have been advances in steel technology, which will help give us longer life. There have been advances in fastener technology, which will make the track more secure. And any technology that we can take advantage of to improve the life of this product, we have taken advantage of.
And can we know, with respect to the outages, as the chairman was saying, with respect to the outages, can we know in advance so we can let the commuters know about these outages, and can we make sure that we minimize the closures or any delays?
Our goal is that as soon as all of the parties, and we'll reach this conclusion jointly, understand their specific and Amtrak specific outage plan down to the train level, which is what people care about, is that we all will certainly let you know, but we are going to all communicate this as broadly and as often as possible, because what we don't need, what I think people need least of all, is unplanned disruptions, because then it's just chaotic. At least we're going to give folks a lot of warning so they can plan their lives for those periods.